Driving a butthole. Staff of the Avatar. Ceremonial staff. Withering. Earth tree's offspring. In some ways, kind of weird. So, I mean, the minor earth trees came into existence after the shattering. But it seems like they start to wither already after a short time. And the avatars emerged to protect them. I never really understood what... in what way it's depicting the Earth Tree in its heroic radiance. I mean, the root system is way more highlighted there in this stuff. Oh, god damn it, I think my controller is not functioning. Where's my second one? Earth Tree Slam. Golden Land. Oh, come on. So delayed. Jesus. Thrust an element into the ground and gather strength. You unleash a blast of sacred energy that coalesces into golden darts. Follow up with a strong attack. It's interesting that it's called Golden Land. It's just, I think there's something to the golden grass and trees on the Altus plateau. There's probably something to it. And I'm wondering if it's caused by the shattering even. And the radiance of the earth tree. I mean, we got the Staff of the Avatar as well, which is linked to the events of the shattering. It's kind of weird that it says that the offspring is also withering. It didn't really look like that. Smithing Zone 6 as well, like pointing towards the Erdtree Avatar and the Golden Land, Ash of War. Huh. It's 4 AM over here. I don't think you're going to stream. I'm not sure. A few hours probably. Hey, Kagan. You're probably not from Europe then. Yeah. I usually stream for a few hours. Like between 2 and 4 usually. But it's weekend, so I don't know, maybe a little bit longer this time. Depends on my mood most of the time. But thanks for coming by anyway, Simon. I appreciate that. I mean, you can just lurk and let the stream and just streaming while you're falling asleep. So that's what I would do probably. Such a weird area. Oh, damn. Oh, too stressed to sleep, yeah. Moving is quite exciting. I mean, are you kind of forced to move, or is it something that you were usually looking forward to? Wouldn't Godwyn have faith too? Uh, uh, in my opinion, wouldn't be the primary stat, because as I interpret his story, he's probably opposing the Golden Order in a way. I don't think there's a wrong way to play, because in the end, our journey is set up to, yeah, to create our character as we want, and in the end it's all in some way lore accurate. Newman's Rune and Rune Arc. Oh, you couldn't find a job in the area you live in? Oh. Oh, that's unfortunate. So many things we have to struggle with these days. Can I not? Oh no, the Rings of Light are from Mikola. They were gifts between, or it was an exchange between between Mikola and Radagon. What the fuck? How are they? Whoop. Okay. How do I do this? That will be a bit, yeah, okay, let's see. Oh, god damn it. Oh, wrong. Flask. I love the Frost Storm, to be honest. Newman's Room, Runak. And again. Unclench? What does unclench mean? Like, relax, or... Summer Smithing Stone 6. Yeah, relax your butt cheeks, making a joke about the swarm of ants, maybe, yeah. I'm still learning new words. It's kind of nice to stream and sometimes to learn new words and clench. Something like let go, right? I mean clench. Does clench mean something to stick to something? To grasp tightly, to squeeze. Yeah. I thought I understood it. Nice. So... Elden Stars. Derived from the Earth Tree, creates a stream of golden shooting stars that assail the area. It is said that long ago the Greater Walls and the Golden Star, bearing a peace into the lands between, which will later become the Elden Ring. I wish this spell was good in base game. Yeah. I heard that it might be useful in PvP. I'm not playing PvP, to be honest, but I heard that it might be a bit useful there in some builds. It's really nice that even these wings are not only translucent, but also has this interesting color scheme. They're pretty colorful. What's interesting is in versions before 1.0 or uncut content, it seems like the silver tiers were even in somewhere related to the ants, because the I think it was the Asimi quest line, and the husk of Asimi looked like a more evolved larval tier, but more in the shape of an ant a little bit. And then they're even bleeding white, what makes it even more interesting that there seems to be a relationship. I don't think that they are literally or meant to be silver tiers in a way. I just think they probably serve as a parallel to a specific silver tier even, maybe. I think the ants might actually even share traits with Radagon, maybe. I mean, in the end, they cut this the icons, for example, between the ants and the silver tiers for some reason. Maybe because they try to avoid a direct relationship. Because maybe they are probably more meant to be a parallel than just directly linked. So, an ant collecting a huge amount of runes inside of him, a Numen's rune even, and then you have like a white bleeding creature with a red body and containing it. It seems like, to me at least, that it might be referring to Radagon, who's also, in my opinion, probably a silver tier and associated with the color red, and containing Marika's soul. So I think there is something going on here with references, or in a form of a parallel even. Okay, are there any items over there? No. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Three holy grease. Yeah, holy bad. Okay, I got it. Oh, gold bad. Also in Dark Souls 2, we are Godwyn. To be honest, I think I don't know how far the Dark Souls lore enthusiasts get, but it seems like it's the same plot in Dark Souls 1. If you look at the intro, it's like, hi, and here's the little furtive pygmy that is easily forgotten, and then it's never really mentioned ever again. It sounds a little bit like the intro in regard to Godwyn, where he's mentioned and then never and his story's never really fleshed out again. Smithing Stone 4. I'd have to say I'm not the Dark Souls lore expert. Yeah, I've heard about that the rings. I want to be honest. I've not played the Dark Souls 3 DLC, and my friends are yeah, cursing me for that. I've heard that the Ring City DLC goes into more detail. But I'm skeptical. Elden Ring 3. I don't think there will be an Elden Ring 2 even. I think Elden Ring is just too big. There's nothing. It's I don't know in what way you could build upon Elden Ring, because everything is revolving around Marika, Radagon, and Godfrey, and I think most of the story is already told in some way, at least. And I can't imagine how you want to. If you would create a new story in the Elden Ring universe, I don't think they will ever get the amount of detail and the a map of the same size. It's just, you know, it's just incredibly ambitious, and to create another game of this size, I don't know. I don't think it's realistic. I think it's more refreshing to get new IPs. That's what they usually do anyway, you know, and they like to do. And I think most of the player base would agree with that. FromSoft never really disappointed with a new IP. Sekiro was insane, so for example. Ouch, what the? Holy hell. Miyazaki confirmed, yeah, of course. I hope so. I was kind of disappointed yesterday because I realized sometimes my interpretations are not perfect, and then I start to shift to different interpretations, and it's also one of the reasons I'm making a break right now. Because I want to be ahead of my videos and to make sure that the interpretations are as close to the truth as we are able to get. If we get a new Elden Ring, it would have been set in the past, like during the Shattering or right after, but even then the player would have to fail. Yeah, I don't think it would work to set a story in the past, actually. Because it's so limited from the perspective of From Software, you know? Because the story is already... I think that's one of the reasons they don't like to make sequels, because they are in some way limited to what they... Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. There's... What the fuck? In what story they could tell. For somebody who studies item placement like you do, I bet you just like straight up dominate the Elden Ring bingo scene. What do you mean by bingo scene? Oh, you mean like remembering item placement, or what is the bingo scene about? Hey Florum, by the way. Bingo challenges. Yeah. Thank you, Ebok. I appreciate that. You know, it feels like a puzzle, and it's sometimes like, okay, the picture of the story becomes recognizable, but there are still holes in it and pieces missing sometimes, and sometimes there are like two like system of pieces that are not just clicking 100%, or I don't know if you can imagine what you know what I mean? It's like puzzling, and you're recognizing the picture, and you want to set the pieces together first before you like presenting the picture that you have in front of you. And it's kind of sad because the deeper you get with your research, the more complete and the bigger the picture gets. But and what I'm doing is, in between them, I was creating videos. But the further you get, the better it would be afterwards, you know? The perfect way would be like figuring out everything 100% and only then creating the videos. But that's not really... Yeah. It was motivating me more to create some of the videos at the same time. Without enough evidence, yeah, that's true. But I'm always looking for. I try to ask the right questions that might be able to answer in with informations that might be hidden in a way, like I presented in Let's Finally Crack Elden Ring. Not only asking the right questions, but also looking for, okay, sometimes when multiple explanations or interpretations are possible, I look to, okay, if we go with this interpretation, where might be able to apply this one, and where might this explanation fit into some other thoughts, and are they clicking there with other things? And especially then, I'm starting to get convinced of some ideas when they click with other things and start to network and fit really well with other things in general. Elden Ring Bingo are little competition streams where you randomly generate a bingo card with different challenges in each square. The winner is the first one to tick off enough boxes to make a line. Oh, okay. That sounds interesting. Yeah, well, it fits the best with everything else, yeah. Exactly. Feels a lot like a puzzle to me. Yep. Bro. Okay, these things are incredibly annoying. And because of this approach, because I see it more like a puzzle, I mean, people are being skeptical about my ideas sometimes, and I can definitely understand that it sometimes looks like I'm grasping at straws. I mean, I am grasping at straws, but I always look that they, at the same time, that these interpretations fit incredibly well with everything else. Okay, 3 warming stones. The things don't fall. And a Godwyn Run 6. And when it comes to the Godfrey series right now, the next chapters would touch on the very core principles and the urge tree itself. Why I have the feeling that I have to dig deeper first. Get down. Yeah, for now it holds the weight, I think. I mean, that's what makes them kind of convincing for some people. But I hope to make it even more convincing with the Godfrey series. And in the next chapters, it will start to complement the Godwyn series. So my problem was, okay, Radagon slaughtered, the Tarnished after the banishment. So that's where the Godfrey series ended right now. And I was thinking a lot about grace and gold and blood and souls. Because I think after the banishment, they were probably also buried into the Earth Tree's roots, probably. Or at least their souls returned to the Earth Tree. So it's kind of interesting because it's not only about grace; it's also about souls, and might even be blood that plays a role there, and these themes are incredibly murky because in some way they are related to one another, but at the same time they're not exactly the same. It doesn't feel like Grace is the same as, or as Grace and Runes are probably not the same as Souls, but they are heavily related to one another. And this same goes for Blood, which contains some kind of vitality, or might even contain gold in it. I mean, I already have a lot of a mind, and even might be able to argument good enough with what we have in game, what's happening there. There's still a lot with that I can flesh out the Anastasia parallel and the Albinoric village parallel also. There's even more that I already mentioned. When it comes to the Badlands, I think the Badlands are actually the lands between or Limgrave in the very distant past. And they're again hiding this fact behind a metaphor where they sometimes call a country vanished or far away when it's actually just far away in regard to the time that it existed. So a land in the very distant past, or even in the very distant future, are sometimes also described as a faraway land. And sometimes even the future or the distant past is described as a different country. And this metaphor is explained by Jarbairn, actually. So again, they are playing with double meanings and yeah, with metaphorical descriptions of something. Okay, have I missed something here? Hello, Cuz. I saw a short or a reel a few days ago. I don't know if I've ever noticed this, but after Diallo's questline, Jarbairn is sleeping at night and mumbling something in his sleep. Jarbairn starts to speak while he's asleep and saying something like, "The tale of House Hoslow's told in blood," I think. It's really nice. Okay, doesn't seem like there's anything else here. Yeah, I can understand that it's more attractive if there would be also countries outside of the lands between. It just, I think in the end everything revolves around the same story and the same around the lands between and Radagon, Marika and Godfrey. Which makes it, I know people probably don't like this idea because it makes the game's content less broader and less having less variety in its core in some way, but you have to think about it. I mean, From Software and the team of From Software, they're just humans as well. So I think the true story and everything what it revolves around is probably more compact and less than we have in the game. So by solving the lore, I think we end up with a little bit more compact and more coherent story. At least that's what I think. Whoa. I've read that these basilisks here are dropping golden centipedes. I don't know if that's true. I mean, only those here in this area. Dragonbone Grease. Dragonbone Grease. Three smithing stone, 6, and a rune arc. And a lot of death basilisks. What do you think about the recent Mikela card counter reveal? Another one asked me that as well. I think it's impressive that we got another cutscene from Mikela, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's adding much new content, you know, or some. It doesn't feel like there's something revealed that we haven't known before. Plants being fed with blood is nothing new. That Mikela was feeding the Harlequin with his own blood is also nothing new. What I thought is the most interesting is that it's that you can actually see that the not the sapling in the cutscene is actually the tree that you also see on the medallion, the Harlech medallion. That was something that I thought is pretty neat. Yeah, but I don't think cut content doesn't always have to be like You know, I don't think just because they cut content doesn't mean they retconned it. I think they just probably had to make cuts somewhere and decided, okay, that what we wanted to tell, we just tell differently, but in another place or in the DLC. Especially when you consider From Software working with parallels, just because they didn't tell more about Miquella, so maybe the things that they wanted to tell around of Miquella, if this would have been what is supposed to be parallels anyway, they could design other parallels that would tell the same. I don't know if that makes sense. I have problems to articulate myself right now. Am I missing any items here? The beer cave. Yeah. I love having a good beer fight. Who does not love a good beer fight? Oh, shit. Oh, it was the rune beer that is dropping the Prince of Death's Cyst? Was it always like this? Wait a fucking second. Okay, fucking second. I have to look at something. Bro, I'm tripping right now. I am convinced that they are changing details with patches that I haven't realized yet. You can clearly see in one of my videos that this item is usually placed on the ground and not with the beer. What the fuck? Wait a second, what does Factor Life say? No, Factor Life says this is dropped by a lesser room beer. Oh, maybe I just... Okay, maybe I just remembered wrong and I just used... Schizophrenia simulator. Yeah, I'm just confused a little bit right now. I can't remember it correctly. Okay, maybe I just... Yeah, okay, maybe I just show... I was showing just the item that the room beer dropped. There's just too much to remember in game. Sorry guys, sometimes I'm just... Okay, never mind. Oh, you're studying math. Nice. I've also studied math a little bit. I really liked the first few years studying math, but then it became a little bit, I don't know. I wasn't really motivated anymore in the end. Vacuum slice. With shearing vacuum, then launched forwards as a blade-like projectile. Hmm. Yeah. Math equal math. I have to say, studying math is a bit similar like studying Elden Ring lore, because you can dive into these things incredibly deep and lose yourself in it. It's quite it's a good way for escapism. I think math works incredibly well to escape reality in some way sometimes. I mean, it's a lot of fun, but it's the same as with a lot of other stuff as well, where you can lose yourself in systems and thoughts and ideas, like with most of the games, for example. Like people lose themselves in chess, for example. And with math it works also in a way. And I have to say, it helps. I mean, what I'm doing is yeah. The first 3 years was really interesting. I had a lot of fun writing my bachelor thesis, but in the master wasn't that fun anymore. Because in the end, you learned already how math works and how you approach problems and how proofs work, and then it just became after this it just becomes like the only thing that you need to do is dive deeper, get to know your subject in your math in your math field that you're studying. You know, but in a way it helps you a lot how to approach problems. And this is actually what I did, because after 3 years of playing Elden Ring and looking into the lore, you start to realize that there's just too much that doesn't make sense. And after a time, you should rethink like probably some fundamental assumptions, and that's what you usually also do in math. Like, I mean, that's the idea of proof through contradiction, where you have an assumption, and when you get to a contradiction, probably your assumption is wrong. And the same thing is what I realized at some point when it comes to the Elden Ring lore, that probably some of our assumptions are just wrong. And so you have to rethink some fundamental perspectives, probably. And yeah, and then I was slowly realizing, or I was starting to think, okay, my approach began with the thoughts of I wanted to understand how From Software is designing these things, because it doesn't make sense that they're just mashing up nonsense. So my questions were revolving around, why did they design these things like they are? And I tried to understand their perspective and not the in-game lore perspective. You triggered the fuck out of somebody yesterday talking about the idea that America was one trend. A lot of people in this community are triggered incredibly fast. What did he say? But you know what's interesting? A lot of ideas that I use or that I lean towards are ideas that were already present in the first year after it came out. Because usually you get a sense of what the story might revolve around, and a lot of people were in the first year they were theorizing, okay, maybe because there's almost nothing known about Radigan, maybe Radigan was some kind of silver tier and he was shapeshifting, that's why he was not known before. And there was an idea that was already present in the first year, or that Renna might be Marika, or the Spirit Tuner. All of these ideas were very present in the first year after Elden Ring's release. It's just that they haven't found enough evidence or enough things how it might be related to one another, and because of this they let down of these ideas and reduced themselves also to take everything literal, because everything was so uncertain. And because everything is so uncertain and vague, they said, okay, we have to take everything literal to make sure that we are on the right way. But in the end, I think this is probably the worst approach that you can make, because you should realize that we end up with a lot of stuff, a lot of loose ends, and a lot of things that just are leaving too much things open, and especially the DLC becomes makes it even weirder. So there's something wrong with this assumption that we have to take everything literal. He said that? What? I might have not understood what you mean, RJ. Godwyn Run 1. That's an interesting one. So RJ, you told someone that Renna might be Marika? He was asking like, how does that work? It doesn't fit with the timeline, etc., etc. Yeah. I mean, the way how people think it is right now, the timeline doesn't even make sense as well, in my opinion. But I don't exactly know how it would... In what way doesn't it fit into the timeline? Yeah, I think one of the most confusing concepts is probably the concept of Marika. When you're talking about Marika, it becomes incredibly confusing. And people already acknowledge that when you speak of Marika, she's kind of contradicting herself in some way. And in my opinion, it's because when we speak of Marika and when it's about Marika in-game, sometimes it's about Radigan, who's posing as Marika, and sometimes it's about Renna, who's in some way the actual America. And that's what I think, at least. I mean, it's highly speculative, of course, but that's what I'm convinced of. And then you have... Additionally, you have the Elden Ring that is in some way influencing Radagon, so... Things that Radagon maybe has said as America or did was maybe even influenced by the Elden Ring and the Greater Will, so... I think there lies a big problem, that it's just incredibly confusing and complex. Three nascent butterflies. Three nascent butterflies. Was the Golden Rune 8? What did the map say? Yeah, when it comes to the America inside the Earth Tree, I mean, it's as I would interpret it. I mean, I think that Radagon is the vessel, the physical part, but you could also see it in some way symbolic. I think so. America's soul is inside of Radagon. The whole America is... So, it's not America as Radagon, it's the other way around, by the way. It's Radagon as America. And I think it's more... It's telling us more the fact that Radagon is America and was posing as her. And although it's an incredibly simple, short sentence, in my opinion, it has multiple possible interpretations, and people are just sticking to one. And I don't know what you guys are thinking, but the sentence "Radagon is America" sounds more like Radagon is posing as America, and not the other way around. But people say, yeah, it's kind of funny because the first time you're playing this game, you think Radagon is America. Oh, that's such a plain plot. Like, it's directly stated. There's nothing much that you could riddle about it. I think the sentence is could possibly hold a lot of stuff that we're not realizing. Hey, Zed. I mean, it would kind of make sense that they are designing the concept of America and Radagon in a complex way because they are supposed to be mysterious in a way. Hey, Bertolik. I have to say, I'm just... I got the feeling that I have to dive deeper into some stuff, and... Yeah, it's like a break right now that I'm doing. I have a lot of in mind, and there's a lot of that I could make videos about. It's just I want to get close as possible before I produce videos, because sometimes I have to revisit things that I produced in the past because they are not 100% accurate. I think that I probably get close to some stuff that it might be true, but yeah. I'm definitely producing videos at some point again. It's just whenever I have the feeling I'm still missing stuff, I start another playthrough. I'm just streaming because it's for me a bit more entertaining to have a discussion while doing another playthrough. And maybe some of you guys enjoy it as well. It's a bit more entertaining for myself instead of just playing alone. But I'm not finished with the videos. Definitely not. I know that I'm just not delivering much right now, but that's how it is. I want to be satisfied with what I'm doing. Oh, 5 Ateria leaves. You're probably still looking forward to the next chapters, Vitalik. Vital. What the fuck is this? Oh, wow. Thank you, Vitalik. Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that. It just... The thing is, I was playing a lot before I produced these videos and was collecting a lot, so there was a lot of effort behind it all. And it's just that of course at some point I will run out of what I already backed up in a way, and at some point it was probably yeah, determined that I will have to make a break and play again and again and again to dive deeper and deeper and deeper. And when I've gathered enough, there will at some point come the phase again where I'm producing a lot of videos, I would say. It feels like I'm almost there. It feels like there are some parts missing and I have not the full picture of the story yet. It seems like I'm getting closer, closer and closer, but I'm not there yet. Okay, so do we have anything here? Everything? I'm gonna go into the lore of Night Rain. I already did in some way. I mean, there's the latest chapter, the last chapter of the Godwyn series was about the Wilder primarily, but I also touched on the lore of the Araminial and the Duchess. I actually think that Night Rain is in some way a summary. A compact summary of the story of the Lands Between, but in form of parallels. So what I'm doing a lot is like I compare the story that is told in Night Rain with the hints and parallels that I've found in the base game or the DLC, and it works incredibly well. But a lot of times when I find something in Night Rain, for example, there's most of the times and the same stuff already hinting at in the base game. In some way. For example, the whetstone metaphor. I recognized the whetstone metaphor first in Night Rain, and then looking back to the base game, I realized that it was already present in the base game. In a similar way. And I'm doing this a lot, that I'm comparing or looking out for interpretations that are in one of these titles and might have also already been in the base game or somewhere else. And it helped me a lot. Yeah, there are some parts that are might be not 100% correct. Because in the end they are interpretations, but I think we're getting very close with these videos. Armored Core lore? It's kind of sad. I bought Armored Core 6, but I haven't really played it. I think I played it like half an hour or so. Elden Ring is just not letting me go. Summer Smithing Stone. But I have to say, although the gameplay feels nice, it's not the same. It's a different game after all. And it's just something different than the usual Souls-like. That's what I mean. So I think I got all of these items over here. This color scheme is really intriguing. It's like red, gold, and some sort of silver, maybe. It's standing out some way. I started to do a lot of these lore runs as normal playthroughs because, I mean, you can watch up a lot of the item descriptions on the wiki, but then you might miss some of the environmental details where they are placed, for example. And that's why I prefer just doing another run. Using cheat engine is also okay, but to make a real run slows down the process and you look more at details, in my opinion. It takes more time, but it feels like the best approach. Like playing the game. It feels like playing the game. And thinking about item placement is the best way to interpret stuff. Bye bye, Simon. Okay, what do we have here? 5 human bone shards. Smithing stone 4. I found a lot of these smithing stone 4s here for some reason. Golden rune 9. Golden rune 8. Another golden rune 8. Clarifying boluses. That's a weird one. So, 5 human bone shards. Smithing stone 4. Golden rune 9. 2 golden rune 8s. Clarifying boluses. And a nascent butterfly. It's better to have From Software deliberately present the game to you instead of going behind the scenes and potentially dwelling on unintended aspects. I think that's in most cases true. I mean, it's sometimes it feels like we even have to data mine something or look behind some assets to figure something out. But I think most of the time, for example, the perspective in game, how we are presented to some things, definitely deliberately, and we should look sometimes from these perspectives at things, in my opinion. I mean, you can definitely see that they designed some areas with a perspective in mind. For example, the starting area when you come out of the Fringe Folk Hero's grave and make your first steps on Limgrave, you can see these perspectives are designed exactly that you see these things that you are supposed to see. And I've read an interview a few days ago where they were even describing this approach that they, for a lot of locations, they were designing these locations in the way that you, so that you have a specific perspective on things. And although these might be they appear sometimes like coincidences, I think maybe we are supposed to draw sometimes from these visual informations important conclusions. Does this make sense how I would just worded this? Because, for example, it's not much, but I realized the astrolab on the Cathedral of Manus Celis, the astrolab is like perfectly placed under the bright crescent moon, and you can definitely see that they placed this astrolab exactly like this, that is under the crescent moon, and it's definitely not a coincidence. It's just, and I think these perspectives are sometimes designed deliberately. And it's not only there. Yeah, I think that Cruel. I think they are designing a lot of stuff visually first sometimes. In the interview, for example, they said they have 3 teams. They have one team for the map, and it seems like they are starting with the map first. Then they have a team for the character design and characters, what they are probably designing as second. And the third team is working on icons. And they even said that they try to implement informations in the icons and their visual design as well. That is not always contained in the flavor text. So sometimes there's even information hidden in the visual design of the icons that is not mentioned in the description. It's something that I've already noticed, but it's interesting to see that this was even stated in an interview. For example, what's really interesting or intriguing, for example, and that I couldn't make sense of, is are the similarities between the Eclipse Great Shield, this one over there, and the Cuckoo's Great Shield. They have the same design for some reason. Yeah, and I don't really know why, but there's probably a reason for this one, for that. Think about it, the structures here are sunken Leyndell buildings, and if you look closely, Leyndell is made of some kind of rainbow stones. They've just been largely drained of color. Yeah. It's really interesting how Leyndell seems to be connected to Rainbow in some way. I don't know if you knew this, but there's even sometimes, it's an incredibly rare event, but there's sometimes a rainbow above Leyndell. Not only that, the Pearl Drake Talisman, for example, is which is also depicting some kind of halo. It's placed on a corpse which is also directly looking at Leyndell and the Earth Tree. And right now I'm theorizing that it's probably, if you think of many colors as some kind of spirits or souls, it kind of makes sense if maybe it's theme-wise about souls contained in the Earth Tree. Yeah, but you're right that some of the Eternal Cities look like drained of color, especially Noxtella, in my opinion, because the ground is, yeah, on the ground it looks sometimes silverish. Mm. But then again, it becomes a bit, yeah, it seems like it's a bit complex, because I don't know if Drained of Color is just about souls, because Drained of Color seem to also mean Drained of Gold in a way. Got to go to work. Enjoy, girls. Bye bye, Zed. What I was wondering, when it comes to the Cuckoos and to Cuckoo Great Shield and the Eclipse Great Shield, I mean, there's no obvious direct link between these two themes, like the Cuckoos and the Eclipse. Although the Mausoleum Knights, the Mausoleum Knights share some design that links them to Rhea Lucaria, actually. I forgot what it was exactly. I think it was some of those horses, for example, have a pattern on it that is shared on the sorcerer robes. But besides this, it seems like the Cuckoo Great Shield might refer to silver beings because it's just plain silver. And even the Cuckoo Knight armor set is referring to a Cuckoo's feather, which is also just plain silver on the helmet. So maybe there's some kind of thematic relationship between soulless demigods and silver beings. That's what I speculate right now, but it's, I don't know. Golden Rune 8. 4 fan daggers. And a Summer Smithing Stone 7. Maybe I'm able to show you this. Wait. Yeah, it's the fabric that the horses have. They have some kind of pattern on them that are usually on, I think, sorcerers of Raya Lucaria. Oh, the knights themselves also have wings. Yeah, but the wings that they have, these knights, they are reminiscent of the death birds. In the description, it says that they are supposed to evoke the death birds, I think. Oh damn. Oh, there's an item I missed. I wanted to check the... Okay, never mind. I probably thought it just looked cool. When it comes to the shields, you mean? I don't think so. I think it's no coincidence. But maybe, could be. It's just that in my experience, it was never a bad idea to think more about the design and assume that it's probably not a coincidence. So first of all, I like to think, okay, this is not a coincidence, and why did they design these things like that? Just to, yeah. It's a way to dive deeper into things. But yeah, it seems like they're just too many details. That what I'm doing is and to make it easier for myself is I try to look at the themes first. So I try to understand things first of all by looking at themes that are going on, and then I'm digging deeper into details. I don't trust interviews too much, to be honest. We just put shit in the game because I like eclipses, yeah. Bro, when you see interviews, look into interviews, or even lately I was again watching a video where they interviewed the voice actors, and there was some for example, one of the not only is Miyazaki always there, and with these voice actors, Miyazaki is involved in almost everything, as it seems, at least when it comes to the initial ideas. And I think the voice actress of Millicent was saying something like that Miyazaki was fascinated by one of the letters that she's pronouncing in a specific way, and that he is incredibly looking into details of how they're pronouncing things and how they're in general speaking. It's incredible. So I was pretty sure that there was an item over here. Have I picked up something right now? I was kind of on autopilot. Guys, have I picked up anything right now here? No, maybe it was maybe I remembered wrong. What I'm sure of is that there is an item directly under this waterfall. There are lightning great bolts placed, I think. I was pretty sure that there was something placed here as well. Yeah, I'm already looking at the stream. Strange. I was pretty sure there was an item, maybe. It's hard to remember everything. No, I haven't picked up anything. Yeah, let's check the interactive map. feels like sometimes I remember remember things that are not there. Yeah, there was nothing. Oh, strange. I think what I was remembering was probably the lightning great bolts that are directly under the waterfall, under the edge over there. That was close. Oh, fuck my life. What kind of skill is this? From, that is, Lionel using. Lionel did it. I think in some way it's paralleling the event when we arrive at the Earth Tree at the very end of the game. Because I think Lionel is a Godfrey parallel, and it kind of parallels the circumstances that we are facing Godfrey at the very end before arriving at America, but in an influenced state where he's again brainwashed by the guidance of grace. In the same way, Lionel appears as some kind of puppet here. Oh, fuck my life. And even the great AP, his weapon, is stating something that it's the weapon for duel to the death. Which kind of fits Godfrey's way of thinking, I would say. And even Roger might be a Radagon parallel that we are facing at the very end as some kind of puppet of the greater will in Elden Ring. What the fuck is this guy doing over there? Why is he just spamming buffs? Oh. Oh, of course, fucking what skill is this? What's it called? Okay, we got the first one. Got the second one. I need something bigger, like a claymore. Is Godfrey champion of America in the same way? I mean, the thing is, America's soul is in some way intertwined with the Elden Ring itself, and which are but also opposing each other. And as I imagine, the story is America as the woman in the black hood organized in some way the Night of the Black Knives, like Fear organized the assassination of D. And as I imagine the story, her soul afterwards is, she got killed in the process, in the Night of the Black Knives, but her soul is returning to Radagon and the Elden Ring, and to the Earth Tree. And in the parallel, it's Fear, like, sitting in front of, Godwyn and this thing here. And when we are, approaching her, or Marika and the Earth Tree, we start facing Godfrey and Radagon first. But in a way that they are probably influenced and manipulated by the greater will. And, act in a way as puppets, I would say. It just fits a lot of interpretations. I'm only stating this because I think it's a recurring pattern that I recognize somewhere else. For example, EEG. EG seems also to be a Godfrey parallel, and ends up in a puppet pose as well in the end. And the more there are a lot of things where it fits incredibly well, I think. Yeah, and Fear as America parallel kind of fits too, because, I mean, the parallel that I was pointing out in regard to Fear and D is just that Fear is, as America as the woman in the black hood is orchestrating the Night of the Black Knives, as Fear is orchestrating the assassination of D. The other D awakens in the same way as we awaken in the Chapel of Anticipation, and then are heading towards Marika and killing her. And in the same way, D is doing this here in the parallel too. Like the other D is awakened and is now moving to this place to kill her, actually. But it's also interesting that Godfrey and Radagon as puppets appear here, which kind of fits the events that we face at the Earth Tree at the end of this journey. Yeah, it's stated that they're sharing a single soul. It said, what does it say? 2 minds, 2 bodies, but a single soul. And they have never spoken to each other. I think that's what it says in some way. And another thing is that's interesting, although they are called twins, in Roger's letter, or in Roger's dialogue, he says that the D in Shofra River is the younger brother for some reason. I don't know why, but he's calling him the younger brother, although they're twins. And maybe it's even another hint that it's like the resurrect. So in the parallel, if you got reincarnated, you could look at your older self as, it's a philosophical topic in my opinion, because imagine reincarnation would be real, and imagine you had a former self, but you're not able to remember that old life, then in some way you are the same person, but in another way you're not, because what's making you are your memories, your experiences, and what you experienced through your life. And so you could interpret your older self as some kind of a sibling, and or even twin, because yeah, I think that's what they are doing sometimes. And your reincarnated self would be the younger sibling and the younger twin, uh, described in a literary way, of course. And in this way, I think the whole story is working, because as the player that is waking up in the chapel of anticipation got no clue what was happening in the night of the Black Knives, and even though you might be Godwyn, as I said, the player is able to live in his own way and make decisions in his own way and be who he wants, and could at the same time be the reincarnated Godwyn, who's just not remembering his older or former self. I think it's just a incredibly mind-fucking idea, but which works incredibly well, I would say. Hey, Kamen Joe. Mikela cut content he calls the tree he's planting his twin. Oh, that's interesting. Is he? Is he calling it his twin? I thought, because the voice or the voice lines that he put over the cutscene are not necessarily linked to the cutscene. It's just that it was cut content dialogue and a content cutscene, but I think he pointed out that they were not necessarily related to one each other. The cut content dialogue was already data mined as well, just not the voice line, I think.
I see. Then you must kill me, for I am the companion of Godwyn, Prince of Death. I wish to be a mother to those who live in death. So it is that any loathing, any hatred that overshadows them, I must bear, as a matter of duty, with my own flesh. Go on, kill me. You deny us, do you not? Because we deign to live in death, and wish our Lord to rise to glory. You are an odd one. I am the guardian of those who live in death. They call me a foul and rotten witch. Yet you still wish to be held by me?
I don't know if you remember the part in the video Let's Finally Crack Elden Ring, but I just want to point out again, it is possible to trigger her dialogue line of where she's saying, Godwyn, is that you, dear? You can trigger the dialogue line without triggering the rancor calls from Godwyn's corpse, which then sounds even more like she's asking us if we are Godwyn.
Have you ever seen a Hallowbrand? When the first of the demigods died, his flesh was marked with the half-wheel wound of the centipede. Godwyn's Hallowbrand has since been recovered at the Round Table Hold, but there is another Hallowbrand out there somewhere, and I must find it before the time comes we receive our Lord. When Godwyn died, a Hallowbrand scored his flesh, but another exists. Another mark in the shape of the half-wheel wound of the centipede, and I must find it. before my hand. Will you still?
Oh, I haven't gone through the study hall yet. Oh, let's check this area first. Do you want to guys see how he's saying Godwyn is the UDO without casting rancor calls? Now, can you remember this from the video? I was just really fascinated by it, that I was able to reproduce it. And I figured out the pattern that you need. What you need to do is, like, you need a single hit. And then you need a single hit with a follow-up. And then she's saying Godwyn is that UDO without those rancor calls coming from the corpse. It even works with some incantations and sorceries. If he is a leader of those who live in death, is Marika a leader of those who die alive, like a literal inversion? I think... So, I have the idea in mind that Renna was in some... Renna, the maiden of Farmazula, was in some way the original Marika. And it kind of makes sense that Marika might be related to death sorcery, because the Sun Realm in Farmazula is probably heavily linked to death sorcery as well. Because, for example, the Twin Bird might be associated with Farmazula, and the Twin Bird is heavily associated with the Death Birds and death sorcery. And the Sun Realm soldiers are also using some kind of death sorcery ghost flame skill. I don't know if you have seen this, but the Sun Realm soldiers sometimes start to fly, spreading out their arms and spewing ghost flame. So it seems like the Sun Realm is heavily associated with ghost flame. And I think that might even apply to Renna as the maiden of Farmazula. It also seems that death is related to godhood. Melania needs to die 3 times before becoming a deity. Yeah, that's an incredibly good catch. I even think that the fact that Melania died 3 times before she's turning not only in a deity, but she's also turning in some kind of plant inside. You know, you can see her bloom. And I already had the idea in mind that Melania might be in some way a parallel to Marika. So that arose the question, okay, maybe the real Marika also died 3 times. It's not that she died thrice, it's saying that she needs to bloom 3 times. With is just in some way associated with being close to death. So, and then I start to think about the idea, okay, what is when Marika in some way died 3 times in a way? And I was thinking, okay, if the shattering was the 3rd time, what about the 2 times before that? And yeah, from there on, I started to realize that she probably died. The 2nd time was probably in the Night of the Black Knives, as I imagined her story. And the 1st time was probably in Farmer Zula as the maiden. Okay, this is a strange item placement over here because I think there are lightning great bowls placed. Six lightning great bowls. I would say whenever it's about death, it's not about eternal death. It's, you know, dying physically doesn't always mean that you're dead forever, you know. Uh-oh. Smithing stone 6. That's also a weird place here. Do you have a dead tree here? Mausoleum soldier, ashes. What does they say? Spirits of 5-headed soldiers who confound foes by disappearing and reappearing at will. The mausoleum is where the bodies of souls demigods are lain. Lain to rest. Four's the lucky one. The number 4 stands for fortune, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if that's an intended pun, actually. So 4 is associated with fortune, and the number 3 is associated with an ill omen. It's interesting that we have that in English we have the pun of with fortune, and in Japanese you have the pun of the number 4 sounding that sounds like the word for death. I really don't know if that's an intended pun, but at some point I was theorizing about 46 containing the pun of 46. It's even because it's interesting that there are 3 incantations with the requirement of 46, and one of them is actually an incantation of 46. And the other both might even be related to Godwyn and the Glowmite Queen. I don't know if that fits, but it's a really weird, interesting idea that I had. Some missing stone 6. Was there an item? No. What's over here? Golden Moon 8. Oh. I have to say, I don't know if this 46 pun is intended. It feels a bit like that, but I don't know if that's, you know, I would really love that it's intended, because it would even fit some interpretations that I have in mind. But as I said, I don't know if that's actually intended. I don't know if there's anything to the number 1. The number 1 is just used. I mean, it's a lot. It's used a lot, so there might be nothing much to it, probably, because it's just a, yeah. When numbers appear incredibly rare, then there's probably something to it, to them. But it becomes more difficult if they are used a lot, because then you can probably expect there's nothing too much to it. Stone sword key. But it's funny enough that 46's remembrance got a skill that Ash of Incantation, I mean, that is having the requirement of 46 faith. The other one has a requirement of 47. Hey, Blade. Oh, incredibly nice that they used Sufi. Inspiration from Sufism, or what it's called. I don't know much about Sufism, but I read a little bit about it, and it's... I think it fits incredibly well with what Miyazaki might had in mind and his perspective. Bro? Okay. Could you maybe link the stuff that is linked to the, I mean, which dance it is? Called Sufi Whirling, or is it just called Sufi Whirling? And I might be able to find it by just googling it. Yeah, parrying is just a matter of timing. If you get the rhythm, then it's quite easy. Sometimes I just need to remember the attack animations. Yeah, it doesn't always have to tell us much, but it's interesting nonetheless sometimes. I think even though maybe some of these inspirations doesn't serve as big revelations, it sometimes maybe might help you in some of their, to understand their perspective maybe or so, like general ideas or so. Do you like to use the hardest parry? What is the hardest parry? Does the Beastcrest Heater Shield have the the smallest parry window? I know that I'm not using the best one, like the buckler shield or what it's called. Does the Beastcrest Heater Shield actually have the smallest parry window from all the shields? Siluria, so RJ, when it comes to Siluria, so a lot of people in the community would tell you, and I agree with them, that Siluria is probably a reference to a prehistoric era, because other names seem to refer to these eras as well. Siluria is a prehistoric era, a name of deriving from a prehistoric era, and Ordovis as well, and Devonia also. And even the names Flo or Darreville might also refer to some of these eras. Extinction events. Yeah. And I think they're... So, and I was also thinking about, okay, what has Siluria to do with Odovis and with Darriville, for example, that were already there in the base game? And when thinking of Siluria, Odovis, and Darriville, I think these three are used as references to Marika, Godfrey, and Radigan. I don't think there's I don't think there's much when it comes to the prehistoric eras. I just think they kind of pointed out that these three yeah, might be referring to something that yeah, I don't know. I was just looking at all three of them. I was thinking, okay, what might they refer to? And I think the Crucible Knights associated with the tree are used as references to Marika, for example, and the Crucible Knights with the X on their helmet are references to Godfrey, and Darrowell, a Bloodhound Knight who is considered a traitor. I think it's this one is referring to Radagon, for example. And in the DLC, I think Devonia is also probably associated with Radagon, using a hammer, or depicting a hammer on its helmet. I'm not diving too much into real life stuff there. I just think they form a little group. It might also fit that they are prehistoric in the lands between. That's could be, definitely. It's interesting that there's some kind of tree stump with Siluria. I think it's about. So what I think it's probably a reference to the withered earth tree, in my opinion. And the Crucible and Siluria is probably just America reference. Hi, Asha. The tree. Interesting how it says the great tree ornamentation. That's something that people got triggered of. Mentioning the great tree. I'm doing fine. I'm happy that it's weekend. I hope you're doing well too, Asham. I think we're done here. Aren't we? Yeah. The great rediscussion is it's difficult. Although I started to be convinced of the idea that there have been another tree in the past. I actually think that the crossed tree, a tree like the shadow tree, was probably a tree in the Farum era. Because I think the whole DLC revolves around events in the Farum era, actually. And is, for the most part, meant symbolically. So you could consider this maybe the great tree. I don't know, but I'm very much convinced lately in that there has been a great tree, the crossed tree in the era of Farum Azula. Or in the very distant past, at least. I mean, there was a cross tree mentioned in the base game already. Do we have the shield? No.
Oi, oh, I didn't realise you.
Yeah. I don't want to say that I mean, we sometimes it's a good idea to dive into real life stuff, right? You know, I think it's a really difficult thing to realize when it's a good idea and when it's not, maybe. But it's probably always a good idea to dive deep into things first, and then reconsider if it contains important meaning for the game or not. I mean, this one also already mentioned a crossed tree, and because it's saying that it's depicting an old tree, I would say it's probably not the Harlech tree, especially because it's depicted in colors that we are not usually associating with the Harlech tree. So I'm convinced that there was probably a crossed tree in the distant past, in the Farum Azula era probably, and the DLC revolves around these events in the Farum Azula era, but everything in form of symbolic references and parallels. So, but I will dive into that at some other point in the future. So we have to get the Hallowbrand curse mark. The kite shield is so insane. There are so many things where it's highlighted. For example, did you notice that it's even the kite shield that they used as an icon for the menu here at the top in the inventory? I don't know if you ever noticed this, but here in the menu icons, it's the kite shield that they're using here. I think they favor it because they know that there's a lot to the kite shield. And it's also the kite shield that they use in the tooltips here. Because there's a lot to the knight armor set, I think, and to the kite shield as well. And the one in the tooltips are using, most of the time it's the kite shield. Oh, in this case it's the heater shield probably. And that's the kite shield, for example. Is it the kite shield here again? I thought there would be more of these with kite shields. Okay, at least in 1 or 2, there's the kite shield represented. I can't remember. Was I already in the study hall? Okay, yeah, I've been here before. Otherwise, Miriam would have attacked me. It's interesting that even this moon have an interesting color theme on it. Like, it seems also to have something like rainbow colors on it. I really wonder if there's some kind of symbolic meaning behind an inverted statue. So my experience, whenever you get a cutscene, there's probably some symbolic meaning behind it. Is there a bit of turquoise? Maybe. Could also be. I have to research a bit about inverted statues. I bet there's some symbolic meaning to it. Oh, no, not her again. I hate this fight. What can I get when this tower isn't inverted, by the way? I can't really remember. I think there's a sorcery, maybe, probably. Or do you get the Miriam's sorcery here in this place? Some random items at least. Oh no, oh no, oh no, 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 no. Where is she? Where is she? Down there. And lucidity. Oh my. I just realized that it's in some way it's interesting that Preceptor Miriam is using Loretta's great bow. Yeah, I think I have the suspicion that lucidity might be referring to Rena or Marika Rena having the ability that she's not influenced by the guidance of grace. I think she's the only one that is not really, or the only one that can resist the greater will in a way. And it might be that her lucidity or clarity is referring to this ability. Loretta is using her this spell. Loretta is using the great bow spell or sorcery. Where am I supposed to go? Down here? Yeah. 8 glintstone fireflies. Okay. 2 holy proof dried liver. If I would be from software, I would maybe we have to also take the other items in account that are usually placed here when it's inverted the other way around. Oh, hey, Mayforce. Mayforce. Yeah. You could say we are some kind of sect. A dry leaf sect. It's just you may join us at every time, Mayor Force. You just you have to believe. You just have to believe. I can't see shit. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. Did they design this on purpose that there are just 4 of these candle stands burning? I really wonder if they somehow were hiding some stuff here. It just feels so weird, this whole inverted tower thing. Is the room upside down or are you? That's an interesting question. I mean, wouldn't it make more sense that we are upside down? Imagine, what if the whole room and that we were in at the very start is turning around and it's not the other and it's not the whole tower. What if our starting room is turning 100 degrees around itself and we just didn't notice, and we are for some gravity reasons sticking to the top. Oh shit, that would make way more sense actually. I mean, yeah, in the end it's magic, of course. So where's the end? There. It's just kind of sad that you never really see how he's coming out of this door. Yeah, the screen is just, you know. Although now it looks like the tower is not turned, you know, because the Divine Tower was like... Yeah, that makes no sense. there has to be something to the tower and the whole inverted thing. It's either more symbolically meant. Maybe it's some kind of metaphor that inspired the design. What if it is somehow connected to the inverted hawk in sort of parallels? I don't know. Should I go with the claymore? Yeah, I think so. Ouch. Okay. I swear he was saying something. I don't know. Oh, I love this. This is great. Whew. Oh, come on. Someone out there is making a barbecue. I'm kinda get hungry now. Oh no. By the way, was there any item? Nope, nope, nope. You see the theory that those statues are Radagon? I would agree. So, I also suspect that it's probably a Radagon that is depicted on those statues with the iron sword. For example, I mean it's also the sword that the misbegotten warriors are using, and these seem also to reference Radagon at some places. So it kind of makes sense that maybe probably the statue also is related to Radagon's story, but probably Radagon in the very distant past. In Night Rain they used it too. In Night Rain, in the Round Table Hold, there is a location with this statue with the iron sword, and they deliberately placed the Revenant in her remembrance, or some others' remembrance, right in front of this statue with the iron sword, and the Scholar also appears at some point in one of the remembrances, right in front of the statue. It looks like they deliberately placed these characters there. It's an interesting color of the sky. It's typically not the one that you usually see in Leonia. It's a light green, I would say. These are probably meteoric stones. They look exactly like those in the caves or mining tunnels. Do you guys want to see how she's saying Godwyn is that you, dear, without the rancor calls? Or is that something that you already saw in the video? Let me show you this again. I don't know. I mentioned that in one of my videos in Let's Finally Crack Elden Ring, that you're able to trigger her dialogue line where she's talking about Godwyn without those rancor calls coming from the corpse. And what you have to do is you need a single hit. And then you have to use it's a specific pattern for some reason. I don't think it's a bug because it works with it doesn't matter what time you need. You can even pause in between, and it's also possible with some specific incantations and sorceries. What you have to do is you have to hit her 3 times, but you have to use a single hit. And then you have to hit her with a single hit and follow up. There was one day where I only researched and was hitting fear in different ways just to see how to reproduce this, because I saw it in one of my, I think I've seen it in one of my own playthroughs, but also in a video, and I was like, how the hell is it I should be able to reproduce this, and I was hitting her a whole day just in different ways, which is, yeah, sounds a little bit strange probably. And then I was testing different time limits that you might need if the pause in between these hits might even be important or not, but they didn't matter as I realized. Yeah, so okay, what you need to do is a single hit, then you have to wait for a second so the combo is set back, and then you need a single bit and single hit and a follow-up attack. Single hit, and follow-up attack. What's even strange, you can even make a pause of like a minute or so in between. It doesn't matter. So if you look closely, just yeah, and listen to what she says, because she's saying this dialogue line without rancor calls coming from her.
Godwyn, is that you, dear?
So in this case, it definitely sounds like she's asking us if we are Godwyn. It's just usually at the third hit, the corpse is starting to let rancor calls rancor calls start to come out from the corpse usually when you hit her after the third time. But when you hit her in a specific way, they don't show up at the third time, and and the dialogue line is triggered without those rancor calls. But at the latest, when you hit her the fourth time, the rancor calls, the rancors start to coming out. But then without the dialogue line. Yeah, but without those rancor calls coming from the corpse, it definitely sounds like she's asking us, I would say.
This is the other Hallowbrand. How did you... Oh, my utmost thanks. With this, Godwyn can take his rightful place as first of the dead and claim a second, illustrious life. You are our true champion. And though I can't be of any use to you, can I hold you tight? If only for a moment. I will soon lay with Godwyn, and it will surely stir within me the new life of the Golden Prince, and first dead of the demigods, as the rune of those who live in death. Please, do one thing for me. Brandish this child, my rune, and take for yourself the throne. Stay the persecution of those who live in death by becoming our Elden Lord. I will soon conceive. Brandish, stay the by becoming.
Yeah, okay. Let's reload the area. And we are able to... Wait, what? Why is she? Why is she not? Isn't she sleeping yet?
This is good. I am satisfied. I choose to lie with Godwyn of my own will, not the remains of one chosen for me. And I will bear a child who will inherit your warmth too. What greater blessing could there be but to be born a deathbed companion? This is goodbye, my dear, but I am satisfied. I choose to lie with Godwyn, and I will bear who will inherit. What greater...
Enter the deathbed dream. Let's go. Oh my fucking hell, so much death blight. It's a bit sad that you don't really see him fighting, because most of the time you're just standing under him. And the soundtrack is also really amazing. And I've never really appreciated the soundtrack until I was listening to it while I was searching for a soundtrack for my videos. Isn't this kind of like how we enter the Shadowlands, touching a body corpse to get transported to another world that resembles a dream? Yeah. At least that's what I'm convinced of. Because, yeah. So I am kind of convinced that the Lands of Shadow are in some way a dream, actually.
Prince of Death, take a good long look. See the wrath of the Golden Order, the Order's justice writ in blood. This is what's become of your precious witch. Naught but expired meat and bone. This is a proper death, O Prince. Look at this rotten whore. No more children can be got from this useless flesh. Behold, your mother is dead. This is revenge, you witch, and you ghoul. This is the wrath of D.
He's talking like Godwyn was an active person. Yeah, no way. As a ghoul, yeah. I think especially the term ghoul might hint to the fact that he escaped as a ghoul. Because of that, I was associating Godwyn as a Prince of Death, as some kind of putrid corpse, as some kind of ghoul. And I think in that way he kind of escaped, right? Because the only item and spirit ashes that are referring to a proper death or unable to die a true death, like the finger crone is mentioning, is the putrid corpse ashes. These spirits appear some distance from the summoner. Though their movements are dull and confused, their low moans make them effective at drawing the attention of enemies. True death does not come easily for them. So, there are some circumstances where I just started to believe that Rykard probably helped with summoning Godwyn as one of those who live in death. But one of those who live in death we usually see, probably as some kind of ghoul. Like one of those putrid corpses, which is losing those pustules and cysts.
Witch is dead. The Golden Order unsullied. Now I can look my brother Darian in the eye. Honeyed rays of gold, deliver my spirit. Darian, now I have no regrets. Honeyed rays of gold, deliver my spirit. Darian, honeyed.
Okay. Now we are done here. In Deep Root Depths. We're almost done with everything here. The one thing that remains are the other plays of the of the three fingers, and then we can move on to the mountaintops. Come over here, come. Bro! Why is he unflinching? The secret room in the elevator for the mountaintops. Do you mean the cut some cut content of the map? Or what kind of secret room do you mean? Oh, you're speaking of Melena's room. The room where the Blade of Calling is placed. Oh, there's also an item. A 5 eye of yellow. And Golden Rune 11. Frenzy's Cookbook 2. That's Flamestone. Ooh. Well, that's a nice one. FTP's Bone. Okay, guys, let's go. Can I do it? Yeah, sure. I just can't remember the way. I think we have to go there. Feels like muscle memory. So we're almost there. Okay, that's a hard one. I guess I'll just jump down there. Do we have to jump, or can I just walk down there? Oh, fuck, that's a... I already know that I will fuck this one up. Oh, got it, okay. Inescapable frenzy. It's always 3 hefty beast bone here. Already, always a bad omen. It's not always. I don't think it's always 3 hefty beast bone, but in a lot of cases they are 3. Yeah. When it comes to Melina and the Knight of the Black Knives, I actually think that she helped in killing Godwyn. It starts to make sense if it wasn't actually planned that he died, but it was a maneuver or an attempt to let Godwyn escape unknowingly. I mean, without anyone else knowing it. Yeah, but Godfrey, America, or Radigan are probably the major characters. Wait, how is there still another item in here? Is there a nomad? Hey, bro. I need you. Oh, he's just vibing. Just chilling. Bro, stand up. Come on. What the? What's wrong with him? Is this some kind of bug? I'm pretty sure he's supposed to fight me. That's fucking annoying. Is there another one over here? Oh, there's another one. It's a little bit odd that the other one is not attacking me. Megala's Needle. Note.
So you're here as well, are you? I realized as we've talked, I'll be a maiden, and you, surely a lord. Go to the door ahead. After divesting yourself of your possessions, it will surely open, and the three fingers will welcome you. May the flame of chaos find purchase within you. Go to the door ahead. It will surely...
Yeah, I'm sorry guys, but that's part of the... That's a part of a questline that I will not do. I just don't want fucking fingerprints on my body. May chaos take the world. Oof. Well, that was close. Oh, shit. Do I still get there? Probably not. Guys, come on. Go. Oof. come on. It does not hit. Oh. Okay, there's an item. Over there's an item. And there's an item. Formic Rock 1. Oh god, these routes are so... It's so suicidal walking down here. Why can't it? Oh, I wasn't able to double jump there for some reason. Only just too late. Oh, come on. It's too high. Yeah, Vitalik. Exactly like this. I think it's a pretty, It feels, besides that, I am convinced of these interpretations that the 3 remaining paintings are referring to Marika, Godfrey, and Radigan. I think it's a really satisfying. It's really satisfying as well to recognize that it might be about the 3 big characters. I was mentioning it as already in the video. Let's finally crack Elden Ring. That I think the Champion Song, the Sorcerer, and the Redman painting are actually about Godfrey, Marika, and Radigan in their respective colors. And I already have some interpretations in mind for them, so it's I just need a lot of time to discuss them at the right time. I will talk about the Champion's painting in the Godfrey series at some point, if I'm continuing the videos, at least. Golden Rune 8. Oh my god. So when it comes to the Champion Song painting, the Champion Song painting is, for one, it is connected to the Shaded Castle, which is as a whole parallel to the banished or outcasted Godfrey, who starts to rebel against Radigan. But it's also about Godfrey's connection to the Volcano Manor. But in general, about Godfrey opposing the Golden Order and Radigan after his banishment. The Sorcerer painting is actually about Renna and not Renala. For one, the Sorcerer painting is not depicting a full moon, by the way. It's depicting the crescent moon. And I think the crescent moon is the moon of Renna. Which probably lived in the very distant past in the Farum Azula era. Which I think is the little Carian princess depicted in Farum Azula. And another thing when it comes to the sorcerer painting is the Great Hood. Because the Great Hood is... So there are different things. Because for one, the Great Hoods alludes to someone being buried. It alludes to that someone probably died, which I think is also about Renna in the distant past. And then I realized something else, because the Great Hood is associated with intelligence and faith. So it's something that it's not usually associated with Rennala as well. And so I think Renna in general is associated with intelligence and faith. Which is also associated with death, sorcery. And when it comes to Radagon, who's also striving towards faith and intelligence, it's more like a thing that Radagon strives to achieve a similar state as Renna in the distant past. So faith and intelligence are probably associated with Renna, the real Marika of the distant past. And another thing is that there's a heavy use of irony in the Great Hood as well, because if you read the citation in the description of the Great Hood, it says, yes, sure, this is the moon that Rennala looked up to. So not only is there probably irony contained in it because of the usage of the term word sure, that's surely the moon of that Rennala looked up to. It could also be meant in a metaphorical way, where Rennala was looking up to Renna in a way, which I think is represented by the crescent moon. And there are really interesting things going on with the crescent moon in general. For example, Rennala, who's associated with a full moon, wears a crescent moon crown. Yeah, so when it comes to the crescent moon in general, there's some interesting things going on. The way, how is this? Yeah. And when it comes to the red main painting, the first impression is, okay, it's definitely about Radan. And of course it is supposed to hint at Radan, but I think Radan is just an incredibly huge Radagon parallel. And I think that's what the red main painting is actually about. So, did I miss an item? No. Golden Rune 8. Do you think Radan is seemingly unwilling to become consort to Mikela parrots an event where Radagon did not want to become Marika's consort? I think it's definitely paralleling an event of Radagon. I think Radan joining Mikela is paralleling the event in which Radagon in Farm Azula took in the Elden Ring and joined the Greater Will in a way. And I think the DLC in general is everything, or a lot revolves around the events in Farm Azula. damn it. For fuck's sake. It's just a story that I imagine, and I could talk a lot about it, but so I think Radagon has a similar story as we have, where he was some kind of lone nomadic guy wandering through the lands between, getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and at some point he was intruding Leyndell and Farum Azula probably, and was even conquering the Elden Beast. And after he probably even fought the Elden Beast, he fell for it in some way and took in Marika's and soul and the Elden Ring itself. Although Marika probably wanted to die. I think that's also the reason why Miquella resembles the old Elden Ring of Farum Azula in the boss fight, because I think it's actually about Radagon joining the Greater Will and the Elden Ring. Golden arrow 10 times? Wait, why is that golden arrow? Is there anything in particular here? Was it pointing at the cave over there? Probably. So when it comes to the DLC, I think the crossed tree, the red dragon, Mesma as the one who was intruding a city, and Radahn joining Miquella, I think everything of this is actually referencing events in the distant past of Farum Azula. Because I think it was Radagon who intruded Leyndell and Farum Azula with the powers of a dragon and in form of a red dragon, and who later joined the Greater Will because he took in Marika's soul and the Elden Ring in some way, instead of letting it vanish. So that's what I think. And I'm firmly convinced that these events were already referenced here in Corrin's questline with the shields that are sold here of this merchant. Because this merchant over there, so Korn's story is we know that Korn at some point was a believer of the prophecy of the burning of the Earth Tree in some way. This merchant over there is selling a shield referencing red wings, a shield that is referencing a crossed tree, and it's selling a shield referencing a scorpion and surprising attacks. And Corrin ends up after this broken bridge with the Noble Gold Mask, which is parallel to the Greater Will. So Corrin joining the Noble Gold Mask here is, in my opinion, is referencing the same events that Radahn and Miquella are referencing at the end of the DLC. It's also the reason why we find a Dragonbone Grease right in front of the Noble Gold Mask, because it's about it's all a little bit dragon related. So guys, but I think I'm done for today. We now I think we went through almost everything that we could. And in the next stream we will probably go to the mountaintops. So, bye-bye, guys. Have a good day. And hopefully we see us next time again. Bye-bye.